What is up, everybody? Welcome back. RevBurn here with you once again. I usually, for my YouTube channel, I make gaming videos like video game reviews, let's plays, walkthroughs, all that kind of sort. Today is going to be a little bit of a special video. It's a special video because 4 years ago today, this is August 20th, by the way. This video will probably be put up tomorrow, but 4 years ago today, my lovely wife KatD0m, make sure you check out her YouTube channel. I'll put a YouTube little link in here for you guys. She does also gaming videos, but 4 years ago today, my wife KatD0m and I were married, and today is our 4-year anniversary. So today's video, I'm going to be doing something different, which would be cooking. Now, I don't really cook that often. I'm not really a great chef or cook at all. But it is a special day, and I wanted to do something special. And I wanted to put it on YouTube because I really couldn't find this recipe online anywhere as far as the video goes. So maybe this will help anybody out there, or maybe they can improve on this. Either way, today we're going to be making a dish inspired, or actually kind of a copycat recipe from TGI Fridays, a restaurant chain that's pretty popular out here in Chicago. But the dish is called Bruschetta chicken pasta. This is a dish that my wife actually likes quite a bit. I don't even know if they have it anymore at Fridays, which is probably not a great thing for her, but we don't really get there that often because they don't have as many out here in the city as we would like. So anyway, I'm going to be putting up a recipe for you guys to follow along if you want. But just to kind of read through the ingredients you need. You're going to need 4 chicken breasts. I'm using boneless, skinless chicken breasts for this. And we're going to marinate that, which is going to consist of 2 cups of water, a teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of paprika, a quarter teaspoon of liquid smoke. This is kind of like an optional thing, I think, but I don't know. We'll see if it works out. We're also going to need some salt and black pepper, just a little bit to taste. We're going to need some angel hair pasta. I'm going to use a half box for just the 2 of us. We're going to get 2 medium-sized Roma tomatoes, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, which is divided, an 1/8 teaspoon of salt, an 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper, just a dash, and 4 fresh basil leaves, a garlic clove, which I'm going to slice into thin coins, 1/4 cup of tomato sauce. I'm also going to be using some Parmesan cheese later on, but we'll get to that later. That's more of a garnish for the dish. Okay, so we are going to start our tomato salad step of this. So we got 2 Roma tomatoes, so these right here, also known as plum tomatoes sometimes. And what we're going to have to do is we just washed them, so we're going to core them and dice them to about 1/4 inch pieces, and then we're going to save the juice and move it into like a small bowl. So let's try to do that. Now, I've never cut a tomato before in my life, so hopefully this isn't going to be too bad. I did look up how to do this the proper way, so hopefully I don't screw it up too bad. This knife, by the way, so you guys know, it's a Yoshi blade. My wife actually bought this for me a couple years ago. Back when I lived at my friend's condo, we didn't have cable there, so I watched a lot of like network shows or basic cable shows. And one show I liked watching, I actually watched a lot of cooking shows, which sometimes it's fun, I don't know. And I watched a show called Simply Ming. I'm going to take this out too. And that's Ming Tsai is his name, and he actually used one of these blades. I like the way it looks with the white on there and the black for the handle. So I enjoyed the show a lot, so my wife actually bought me some of the knife from it, which is really nice of her. So basically what I did, I cut the stems off of here and cut this in half so you can see the seeds and the core inside there. So I'm just going to carve this out, make sure I get all the seeds if possible. An important thing for slicing tomatoes is not to squeeze it, because you don't want to get the juices out of there like that. It's pretty nice, I think. What I'm going to do here is just cut them in half here. I'm going to stack them up and just kind of cut them through this way. We're just making 1/4-inch cubes, so they don't got to be really big. And we'll just cut them in half this way. And it's all good. Alright, no problem. Like I said, I never cut these before, so it's a little new to me. But it's not too bad. Until I cut my finger off or something. So far, so good. So like I said, the name of this dish is bruschetta chicken pasta. Funny, or not really a funny thing, but a interesting thing about bruschetta is that it's actually pronounced bruschetta without an H in it. The H we kind of added in America here. It's actually an Italian term for a antipasto or starter dish or appetizer. And what it's referred to in Italy is the basically the bread, and the bread is grilled and topped with like olive oil, and then it could be topped with any number of things, including like tomatoes or meat or cheese or anything like that. So basically, I know we refer to it as bruschetta here in America mostly, the actual like bread with the tomatoes on top, which is really incorrect. And we sell the jar of like bruschetta, which is just like the tomatoes and whatever kind of seasonings on there, and that's not really what it's supposed to be, so we kind of messed it up a little bit. But we're not doing it on grilled bread or anything today. It's just the tomato is referred to as bruschetta, which is pretty common for us. So we got our tomatoes all cut up here. Now we're going to put them into a bowl and go on to the next step. Alright, next thing we have to add to our little mix here is the basil leaves. And I got some fresh basil from the store. And what you got to do is wash them a little bit, and then you want to dry them. Then you want to cut them into thin strips. So this is what we'll try to do right now. You should roll it up into a little ball and just cut little strips into it. Actually would work the best. And I kind of did it a different way to start it, so I couldn't really finish that way. But hopefully this will be good enough. So let's add this to our tomato mixture here. By the way, if anybody sees this video and thinks like, why is he doing it this way? Or, I tried this and this is a better way to do it. Feel free to put in the comments, a better idea or something you've tried or something that makes sense. Like I said, I'm not like a registered cook or anything, so this is all really new to me. So anything that could, benefit the recipe or anybody else watching would be greatly appreciated. Constructive, destructive, I don't care. So next step is we got their tomatoes, their juice, their basil. We need a tablespoon of olive oil and then salt and pepper. Okay, so a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm going to actually measure this out. We got this little Pampered Chef little thing, which gives you like a 1/4 or an 1/8 teaspoon all the way up to 1 full teaspoon. It's kind of a cool little thing. But I found a tablespoon is actually 3 teaspoons. So you measure out 3 teaspoons of olive oil. Then we need a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. So let's just mix this up a little bit. Now it's set. We're going to just cover this up and let it sit for 2 hours. So I'll be right back and we'll start the next part of this dish. Alright, so the balsamic glaze was a major bust. Yeah, it wasn't too good. I guess it overcooked or something, but I've been watching it. It started bubbling and then all of a sudden I came back and it was hard. Like hard as a rock. Not a rock, but some kind of brittle texture. Anyway, let's get started on the meat because we got to marinate that chicken. So to start that, by the way, balsamic glaze, we're just going to pass on that. Going to go without it for this dish, which I know you could buy balsamic glaze, and it would probably be pretty close to the correct thing, if not the exact same balsamic glaze, but they had this option to make it, and I thought I'd give it a try, so yeah, I guess we'll just go without it. If you guys know a better recipe for balsamic glaze, or if you have an idea what I did wrong, please let me know. But you live and you learn, and we'll never try again, probably. But anyway, onto the meat. So for the marinade, we got 2 cups of water, which we have right here. And then we also get 1 teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of paprika, and a 1/4 teaspoon of liquid smoke, which I put into this thing already. So we got it all kind of mixed up already. So I'm going to pour that into the water and mix it around a little bit. That looks nice and disgusting. So this is a little quick mix, and we'll put this on the side. And we want to get our chicken ready, so be right back with that. Alright, so here we just have 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. Okay, meat has been properly tenderized. Probably. Who knows? So, then we're going to get a bag to put this in. So this can marinate. So I'm going to toss just into a 1 gallon bag here. 1 gallon Ziploc bag. Throw this chicken inside. 2 and 3 and 4. And they are a little softer, so maybe it's making a difference. Who knows? I'm just going to pour all this marinade into it, and then we're going to be leaving it in the fridge for 1 hour. So that's all inside. I'm just going to mix this around a little bit, but I want to seal it to make sure it's not going to spill, which could happen. And almost did. Okay, so Ziploc, blue and yellow make green. I don't think this is the style of Ziploc. It doesn't feel very secure. Alright, there we go. So, just swish that around a little bit, make sure it gets all coated. And then we're just going to toss this in the fridge for 1 hour, and we'll be right back. Alright, so I know I said we were going to give up on the balsamic glaze portion of the dish, but there was a different variation of it I wanted to try just to see if I could save the recipe itself. So a little change to the ingredients. For this balsamic glaze, we're going to do a 1/2 cup of balsamic vinegar, which we're like almost out of now that we used all this much. So into a small saucepan, that's all you really need for this. Get rid of that. And then we also want a 1/3 cup of dark brown sugar. Place that in there, hopefully. Plop. And then we need some molasses. Want 1 teaspoon of molasses. So I just bought some molasses here, which I really thought we had some, but I guess we don't, which is a shame. But that's fine. And it's very hard to find some at the store too. I don't know why. But just 1 teaspoon is all we need. So let's carefully pour this in here. That's thick. Okay. Oh, that's strong. That smells really sweet. So just let this fall in there eventually. And then the last thing we need is 1/8 teaspoon of salt. So just this little splash of salt. I think we can handle that one. And this should be good. Okay. Just gonna help that along there a little bit. Okay. My wife is going to be so disappointed when she gets home. I mentioned about the balsamic glaze I tried to make before and how that kind of got messed up pretty badly. Let's see. This one we got to place over medium-low heat. Let's light this up. So medium-low. That's about medium-low. And then we're just going to wait for this to start to bubble. Then we just want to simmer that for 5 minutes. So when it starts to bubble, we're going to start timing it and make it 5 minutes, and then we just got to let it cool, and that should be it. So it should be a lot simpler. This doesn't take as long to make. Just going to mix this around for a second. But yeah, she's going to come home. She's going to immediately smell the burnt balsamic fake glaze that I made the first time. and she's gonna be like, okay, looks like he's cooking again. Seems like every time I try to make something, I end up burning something or smelling up the apartment really bad. There was one time I tried to... I made burgers once, and I tried to use some liquid smoke, which I never tried before, but I heard it was really good for like a smoky flavor. And somehow the liquid smoke with the pan and the heat, it got burnt on there. Like, it didn't burn the pan or anything, but the smokiness of that just filled the entire apartment, and it's like just terrible. Of course, I'm fine with it, but she's not. And there was also another time I tried to season some chicken with some chili powder, and maybe I went too much into it or something, or maybe I didn't rub it in enough. I don't know, but the chili powder filled up the whole apartment with that smell of chili powder. And so I have a long list of problems doing this kind of stuff. So hopefully this one will do a little bit better. Like I said, it's only 5 minutes once it starts bubbling, so at least we'll have a set time to start and stop this, and hopefully this will turn out a lot better. So I'm going to cut until this is done, so I'll be right back. And that is 5 minutes. So all we got to do now is just take it off the heat, and you can see it was bubbling. Still looks a little runny, but it's not too bad. It did reduce a little bit. You probably can't tell, but the sugar did burn off a little bit and reduced a little bit. But we're just going to take it off the heat and let it sit there. It's going to come to just room temperature and cool down, and yeah, should be all set. So we are about to start our pasta, so let's go over there. Alright, we are back. It's been an hour since we put our chicken marinade into the fridge. So we are going to take it out of here now, and then we have to rinse off the chicken breasts and then pat them dry. And then we're going to season them a little bit, and we'll throw them onto the pan. So I'll be right back. Alright, so we got our chicken all rinsed off. So we're going to season it a little bit here. So we're adding our olive oil to it. We're just going to rub it in a little bit. And then we're going to add our salt. Toss it in here. You don't want to over salt it, but you want to have some salt on there. It kind of helps with the flavor. Some people say they don't want to put salt on it because they feel like it takes away from the juices or something, but I don't know. It's kind of to each their own. Honestly, you can prepare the chicken any way you want to. If you want to add salt and pepper and then just throw it on the grill, if you want to add salt and pepper and just throw it onto the pan, it's up to you, really. I also started the pasta water boiling. I'm just going to make the pasta according to the box instructions, which is just angel hair pasta, whole wheat. It's going to be just bring the water to a boil and then boil it for 4 minutes, and it should be all done. So, we got our chicken all seasoned, ready to go. We're going to throw this onto the pan. I'm going to add a little bit of oil to the pan, though, also. So, now that the pan's all ready, just going to heat it up and then throw the chicken on, and then I'll be right back in 1 second. Alright, so the pasta water is still heating up. It's still working on getting to a boil. It takes a while. I try to time everything out so it works well in the end, but I don't know. It hardly ever works out for me when I do this. So let's go ahead and throw the chicken in. One thing I did change, or not really change, but the recipe was like cooking for 4 people. And I'm only cooking for 2 people, obviously. So I had to change a couple things with the recipe. And it always makes me nervous when I do that, because I don't know if anybody's ever seen an old cartoon show, Doug. It's on Nickelodeon, Nicktoons. I actually used to watch it a lot when I was younger. But there's an episode where they're trying to cook for like a home ec class. And one of the characters in it, Roger, was trying to make some kind of banana pudding. And it said, like, calls for the 12... It says it calls for 12 bananas, and he only had 9. So what he did, he's like, well, then I'll just subtract 3 from everything. Which is what he did, and ended up being just terrible. And it always reminds me of that. Like, when he said that, I always think of myself in this situation. I never do that. I'm not that bad at cooking, fortunately. But I think about it like that's a really funny solution to that. And I never, like I said, I never did that, but it's always something that reminds me of that. So we got the chicken flipped over. It's been a minute. So I'm going to cook this for 10 minutes with the lid on it. And we'll see how it turns out. So I'll be right back. Okay, so we do have the pasta going. It got to a boil. We threw the pasta in there. So that's going to be cooking for another couple minutes here. After that, we're going to sit there. We're just going to... not going to sit there. We're going to drain the pasta and then put it back into the pot so it could sit there. And the chicken, we didn't lower the heat after a minute, which was like what I read we were supposed to do. But I checked it, and it wasn't really close to being done anyway, so I didn't want to mess with it. So I just went back to my regular method, just going to keep it going and keep washing it. But I want to get prepared for getting the dish prepared, I guess. To prepare each serving, we have to get our saute pan out and then heat up olive oil and saute some garlic in there for 45 seconds on each side. But we had to cut the garlic into thin slices, like thin coins, before we start that. So I gotta do that first, and then by the time we're done here, we could probably start preparing. And I think KatD0m should be on the way home, so gotta get this thing ready to go. So hopefully this won't be too loud, so let me cut to make it a little quieter for you guys, so I can break this garlic of the skin so I can cut it. Alright, so that worked pretty well. Got the skin off of there. So just let's cut this into thin little coins, hopefully. Which these will not be coins, but the way the garlic got smashed, this is as close as we're going to get it. So, I know one recipe called for minced garlic, so I know it's just going to be just as good. Hopefully. And one more cut. That's not bad. That's 1 clove of garlic. And like I said before, the recipe originally called for 2 cloves of garlic. But since I'm only making half as much, I figured this was the way to go. So, just going to cut this again so they're all kind of even size here. Otherwise they're going to brown. The important thing about this part is you don't want to brown the garlic. If you brown the garlic, then you heat it up too long. And you probably want to toss that out and try again. It's only going to be for 45 seconds on each side. So once you get to a minute, minute and a half, you want to throw in some extra ingredients, which we're going to have ready. Big part of this to be ready for this next step. Because once the garlic is sauteed, you want to throw in about a 1/4 cup of the the bruschetta mixture we made earlier. And then also a 1/4 cup of tomato sauce, which I already measured out here. And then we're going to also add some grated Parmesan cheese. And that's pretty much it. Toss it up a little bit when it's on medium heat, just to heat everything up. And then after that, we just plate it and it's ready to go. So, I will do that and we'll be right back. Alright, we are here in the final stages, the prepping, plating of the dish. So we got our pan here on medium heat. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil. It's 1 tablespoon. So it's about there. And we're going to heat that for 20 seconds. Just make sure it's all coated. And then, it's been about 20 seconds now. We're going to throw in our garlic and let that saute for about a minute. It's all going in there. I'm just going to mix it around a little bit. Okay, so that's going to be going for about a minute. Alright, now we'll throw in our bruschetta mix. And our tomato sauce and Parmesan cheese. So I'm going to scoop that up in there. A little mix. And then finally, we're going to add some pasta. say about half the pasta we'll throw in there. One more big scoop. That should be good. Another quick mix around here. You want to make sure the pasta gets coated with the sauce, because the tomato sauce isn't really, a lot of people are saying, like, you know, the recipe shouldn't call for tomato sauce because there is no tomato sauce in it, but it's actually used to help coat the pasta better. So kind of mix this around, get the garlic incorporated and everything, get the bruschetta mix incorporated and everything. Just let this heat up a little bit. It's actually a lot of pasta, but that's fine. Should be a good amount. And once everything is kind of together, we're going to plate this. I'm just going to toss this out onto a plate, and then we're going to drizzle it with the balsamic glaze, and then we're going to slice up our chicken into like 45-degree slices and throw it on top. Garnish with some Parmesan cheese, some shaved Parmesan, and some parsley, and then we'll be all set. So I'll show you guys a picture of what the final dish looks like, but hopefully you guys enjoyed my cooking demonstration. Hopefully it inspired you guys to try to do this better, since I messed it up so many times. But we'll see if it turned out okay. So we'll see if the chicken turned out okay, we'll see if the pasta turned out okay, we'll see if the balsamic glaze turned out okay, and see if it went well together. So feel free to put in the comments any suggestions, anything you want to change with the dish, if you guys try it and have any opinions on it. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed, and happy anniversary. Take care. So a quick update on the dish. It actually turned out pretty well. The chicken and the pasta were really well cooked. KatD0m seemed to like it a lot. The only thing I would have done differently was maybe add one more clove of garlic just to get more of a garlic kick to it. I do have one bonus clip for you guys. This is my first attempt at the balsamic glaze that actually didn't turn out very well. It was just boiling balsamic vinegar and sugar and reduce it by 75%. But they didn't give a time on it, so I just kind of let it go until it looked like it was 75% reduced. And this is kind of what happened. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little outtake and enjoyed the recipe. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Alright, so I'm assuming this is as good as we're going to get on the balsamic. Actually, it's probably overdone. Nice and crispy. Yep, look at that. That is some nice balsamic glaze. So, I don't know what happened. Maybe it went too long or something. But it is hard as a rock. It does smell like burning, which will be great for when my wife gets home. It seems every time I make something, this is usually what happens. This is crazy. I mean, I followed the directions, but of course it didn't say how long to do this. But it said reduce it by 75%, which, I don't know, it's about 75%. We started with a cup. It's supposed to be left with a quarter cup. I don't know what it's supposed to do, but it didn't really get anywhere. Yeah. So it worked out really well, apparently. We left with this garbage. I'm thinking about starting over, but I mean, I don't even know if it's worth it anymore. If this happened already once, and that's not going to be good. No one wants this. You want this? This big piece of balsamic glaze? It's supposed to be glaze, not like whatever this is. So, yeah, let's toss this out and, yeah, we'll go from there. Be right back.